All right, all right. I hope everyone is doing really well. It was partially sunny, it was partially not sunny. And let me stop sharing that screen. Oh, we got some stuff. We got some stuff going on. Ah, it's close enough. Okay. Let's jump into it. It is 6, as you can tell, I'm a little tired, a little sun, a little of the things, but I hope you guys are doing okay. It is 6:30 and I would love to get this thing cooking. I talked to a couple students in different classes, and one of the there was a few things that were pretty important. So why don't we discuss, well, I need to share the screen. Welcome to my class. Welcome to the way I do things that are a little silly. Okay. So let's get into, we're going to try to do this without me typing in the screen. So we'll see how that works, right, guys? All right. So today's session is the second to the last day, and I thought today was not. So I had a couple students ask about CalHFA opportunities. So investing in diverse communities. So CalHFA are a type of loan program out there in California. It's a government funded loan, and we're going to go through it. So investing in diverse communities with financial programs that help more Californians have a place to call home. So the list of approved lenders, realtors. The reason this is important, I can't do it this way, guys. I'm trying. I tried, it didn't work. Final answer. It's not that Kathy knows best. It's just Kathy does things differently. So we're just going to be okay with it, that Kathy has her thing. So the reason that I thought this was really interesting is the mortgage brokers that are approved to do mortgages are here, but there's also here, let me go back to direct lenders, loan officers, mortgage brokers, real estate agents. Why did I have it listed under the other? That's fine. So the reason this is key, so this is another reason, y'all, because sister just wants to be able to put stuff where she wants to put stuff. Okay. That way it's accurate, because accurate's more important than any of this other stuff. Okay. The reason this is important is real estate agents that would like to do CalHFA loans. This is California Housing Finance Agency. Need to get approved. So real estate agents are often the first point of contact for people purchasing a home, right? So the California HFA recognizes their importance in home buying. California HFA has marketing materials to help your clients get informed. But we need the information to get the agents informed. Well, you know what? You guys are going to be doing your own deep dive, and I'm okay with that. So let me put this link in chat, and I'll also have this on the when we break down the class. I'll also have all of this information on the YouTube when we upload it to YouTube, and then edit it in Twitch, so that you guys can go back and review that information. The reason it's important to me that I've had these students ask, right? Oh, did you want to say hi to everyone? Okay, come on. I know. Go tell them. Say hello. Say hello. Oh my goodness. Or did you hear a door and something? Did you hear someone? Does that mean it's time for dinner? Even though your dinner's already here, that means you have someone to eat dinner with? Okay. What do we say? We say bye, 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 bye. Okay. We love you. Go have fun. Okay. So that being said, if you as an agent want to get a CalHFA or clients, help get them pre-approved for these home opportunities, and a CalHFA opportunity is associated with having a silent second. So we talked a little bit about this in a number of the classes this week, where you might have a client, if they are approved to do this type of loan, they could have what's considered a silent second, meaning they're paying 80% out of or getting pre-qualified for 80% of the loan on the purchase of that home. And then that second 20% is actually something that the government's like, hey, we're going to help you with this. Is there someone here? Is there someone here? Is there someone here? There is. Okay, I'm in class. Oh, is that someone? Oh, go get him. Go get him. Sorry, guys. We're going to be doing a little bit of a running back and forth. So I apologize. It's been an active day. All right. So back to it. CalHFA opportunities allow your clients to get approved and get the loan for 80%, and then 20% comes from some type of a state program availability. Now, this is a situation where if you want your clients to get these type of programs, there's usually a type of certificate program that you need to go through as agents in order to be able to have your clients get those type of programs. And the cool thing about that is then your name is going to be on a state website where people that could be going and searching for this type of program you're not really, you already did the certificate. So now the marketing's kind of being done for you because your name is on that state website. So they're actually contacting you through the fact that you have the certificate. So in previous classes, you know that I've shared with you, I don't want to ask you to go get something unless you really need it. Part of the reason I say that is I don't want you investing in anything that's not going to benefit you long term. Getting your notary is definitely going to benefit you because whether you do real estate or work at a real estate office, a bank, an attorney, maybe a divorce attorney, maybe an attorney that does wills and things that needs to help get their clients who are no longer on this earth, their homes sold and those kind of things. So, you know, a notary is always a good thing. A CalHFA certification or going through some type of education to be able to walk through that process with your clients is really important. The other thing that's really important is here, direct lenders. So become a CalHFA direct lender, meaning that you're going to be doing the lending, not you, you're the realtor. Don't get me wrong. If you want to go through the lending side of things, you can do that as well. But the reason why this is important is if you are interested in getting into that, you might find that you want to go through and see who the lenders are that are approved. I know that I went through here and I saw lenders. Hold on just a second. Home buyers, lenders, real estate agents. I know Kathy needs to get her eyes checked. I hear you. I hear you, people. I hear you yelling at me. No, I'm just kidding. Locating localities and nonprofits, real estate agents. Real estate agents are often the first point of contact. Yes. Where does it say brokers? Visit brokers pages. All right, here we go. Here is the good stuff. Well, it's not just the good stuff. Here is a section of information that I thought was really cool. So mortgage brokers, how to process a CalHFA loan if you are a mortgage broker. Well, if you're Thomas McKell or if you're Patrick Ladkany, apologies, Ladkany, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, or John Nielsen. The reason it's really good for you to know that there are these mortgage companies out there is they know how to process CalHFA loans and get your clients approved. And the reason that's important is the loan program information. So if it's conventional loans, if it's a government loan, we talked about conventional in class, right? Conventional, everybody can go to the convention, but conforming is government loans, right? It has to be, you have to conform to what the government's asking you to do. If you go into a government building, you have to conform to the regulatory requests that are in there. You need to be able to, I don't know what the government buildings ask from you right now, but I know that like when I go into get the passport stuff, you've got to be able to go through the metal detector and different things. Conventional, of course, conventions, there's like a process as well, but at government buildings, I want to be able to change, I want to change the dynamic between conventional loans and government, which is conforming. You must conform to the protocol. Conventional, you know, like a concert is in a convention center. Anybody can go to a convention center, most likely can get a loan, but government loans are, you have to conform to what the program states, and that goes for you and the home, whereas conventional loans, it's a little bit more open. But all of that being said, if your client is going to do the CalHFA conventional loan program and guideline, then the program guidelines are here. The government, CalHFA government loan programs, the handbook, the matrix, and all the things. If it has a handbook, I'm going to tell you right now, the client is going to have to go through some type of program. They're going to have to go through some type of approval process. Let me put this also in the Cadillac. Hold on just a second though. List of realtors. And then this is income. And then this is, I'm going to put down here. Actually, no, you know what we're going to do is we're going to copy, duplicate, and we're going to go here and we're going to say, programs, conventional and governments. And then let me change out this here. So we've got that. Okay, cool. So that we have everything on the up and up. Oh, and I said I would put it in chat. Here we go. I'm putting it in chat, Bubba. Yeah. How's her doing? Is her okay? Yeah, her's a good girl. Okay. That being said, let's get back into it. So back to the top, CalHFA opportunities. So investing in a diverse community with financing programs that help more Californians. What are they saying? They're basically saying that they do loan programs for people that have low or moderate income. So CalHFA offers low interest rates for low to moderate income first-time home buyers. And when you're like, what is low to moderate income? Under 100,000. This is the state of California. You could even have two incomes at 175,000 but below that, it has to be below that. So you might find that you have clients that are like, I can't afford to buy a home. And you're like, well, don't you guys, they're both degreed people, or they're both working at like they're doing retail and they only have a high school education. Sorry, I don't mean to say only. They have a high school education, but they're still struggling. They're still like working, 40, 70 hours, like two jobs. I got a part-time here, I got a full-time here, I've got this, I've got that. And they're not able to, but they're paying the rents as if they were paying a mortgage. There's a house right down the street from us or an apartment right down the street from us, and the apartment's $2,800. And yes, it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom or something along those lines. But when the mortgage would be that, and then they have a home and they have a sense of community versus they're still working 2 jobs to make that mortgage payment, right? Each of them, if you will. But because it's their home, it's a different, and it's a better dynamic. So if we can help these families who've been renting and paying these, I don't know if excessive is the right word for it, but $2,800 a month when it's not your home is a lot of money. And so we might be able to help these same families get a low or moderate income first-time home buyer's house. But what about this? I'm going to step away from that for a moment. I'm just going to chat with you guys. Think about it this way. We have clients that make good money or okay money that could be buying a 1 to 4 unit property, meaning that they could rent out the other 3 units on the property. So they might be able to afford a multi-million-dollar unit. So they might be able to afford a $2 million property because 3 of the units are going to be rented, hopefully not the family, right? I'm just kidding. My family, some of the stuff I say. But anyway, if you think about it, we need to look outside the box on what we've been reading. Everything in the books has been very clinical. It's been very much so like, you're going to have a family, they're going to want to buy a house, they're going to get a government loan, or they're going to get a conventional loan. But the reality of the situation is we're in California, and most families, if they can't get the CalHFA, if they make a little bit too much money, sometimes with the estate programs that are available to us, they make a little bit too much money, just enough too much that you're like, this is a joke. Like who even fits in this class of getting this program? And that's why those programs are there, because it's for a very niche or targeted market. So what do we do with the people between that targeted market and the people that can buy homes? We need to either find a home that's in desperate need of repair and get them an FHA 203 B or K loan, right? And we talked a little bit about that over the course of this past week. Or we look at multi-unit properties, or we look at a piece of land and figure out what the cost of building a property on that home is. And I've had people say building is not cost effective. Well, it might be a situation where it's a home in ill repair that needs to be fixed, and it can be turned into a multi-unit. And so I want you to be thinking about these things, because there's a few things going on. One's that we're in a bear market, right? Meaning that we are in a buyer's market, but we're also in kind of a strange market. The Silicon Valley Bank just kind of took a massive nosedive and is completely gone, right? Which is a multi-billion-dollar company that in bank and because of that, because of being in a bear market, because of inflation and all the other things that are going on, are we only looking at things from the perspective that it must be a single family residence, it must be a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, sorry, excuse me, that's the standard that everybody wants, which I thought it was 4 and 2, but here, just hear me out. Instead of going that direction, are we going, okay, what are all the availability things out there? There's always going to be a list of homes available on the market. What houses have been sitting there for a minute, right? What is it about that property? And can we sell our clients on the opportunity to do a partial build or something along those lines? Are we looking at all of those avenues? So anyway, food for thought. Let's think about a couple of those items and then let's jump back into class. Where are you? There you are. So CalHFA income limits, we talked about that. These programs specifically are for low to moderate income homes. There are programs out there. We just added this, which is letting you know the difference for the conventional and the government versus the sales price limits, because there are sales price limits, but the sales price, I know it says that CalHFA no longer has sales price limits on eligible properties, but they do have limits because the limits are regulated by the type of loan it is. So the lending institution, if it's a conventional loan, there's a cap. It depends on your county. If it's a government loan, there's a cap. And again, it depends on your county. And the reason I'm saying that is, which one's the PDF? It's this one. Okay. Because you're like, Kathy, no, they just said they don't have any limits. Au contraire, mon frère. So here we go. This says that as of June 2022, depending upon what, you guys can drop in chat, whatever county you're in if you'd like. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. Housing Financial Agency for the CalHFA first mortgage and subordinate mortgages, the max loan amounts are here. And what these max loan amounts are is for that second. 180,000. Los Angeles County, okay. I need to, but it's saying right here 180. So the second mortgage cannot exceed 180. Alameda. 282,000. Interesting. Unless I'm reading it wrong, the government help is right at the 180 to 220 range. CalHFA limits must continue to be met for eligible. Is that the income or is that, hold on a second, I've got it wrong. Loan limits for each county per first mortgage program guidelines. Okay. No, those are the loan limits. I thought maybe I was like, well, am I reading it wrong? No, I'm not reading it wrong. Okay. Eligible HFR borrowers must continue to meet the income limits. So income limits are completely different. We have income limits. CalHFA offers low, let's see what the interest rates are that they offer. Rate locks. It's not, I know that they can't technically rate lock process, meaning that the locking the rate extension process, we don't need to do any of that. Okay, let's open it bigger. Loan reservation process. All CalHFA approved lenders have access to reserve loans through the CalHFA Mortgage Access System, or MAS. Each lender has assigned an MAS administrator within their own company. Okay. Okay, let's see what they say today's rates are. Let's see if we can just, oh, it won't let me. There we go. There we go. Low income rates. So if the standard rate for today is 6 3/4, or sorry, 6 1/3 or 6.375, then that means the low income rate, meaning the program we could get our clients in on, would be 6%. Cal conventional, no CalHFA DPA. Cal plus with 2% zero interest program. So conventional dream for all conventional. Okay. So FHA, are at 6.125. The plus, usually if it says Cal plus, that means it's a higher balance. I mean, it says high balance loan here, limit here as well, but the high balance, I'm thinking plus it exceeds one of the programs, because usually they put plus if it's something like that, which is totally fine. There is no, it's not applicable for the 3% zero interest program because it's a zero interest program, although this one says 7.75. Anyway, it's a pretty cool, I'm going to look into taking the program, taking the certificate course, as well as finding out more information about it. Maybe we can get someone in one of our classes for CalHFA and do a recording with them. That way, when you're in class or if you're not in class, you can always revert back to it. But I did have a student ask about it, and I wanted to make sure that we covered it tonight. Another student, Rodolfo, was during the weekend, he was talking about NDA real estate forms. And he's like, don't you guys have, you know, unless I broke up what it was exactly he was asking. The company he works with and that he's mentoring with, shared with him that there are NDA, or he's been working through NDA forms with regards to different companies or entities that are coming in to either buy the properties or to have the properties listed. And they work with multi-million-dollar clients. And what I mean by that is wineries and different entities in that way. And so he was talking about NDA forms. We don't talk about NDA forms in our books, but a real estate buyer non-disclosure agreement protects the seller that shares confidential information with the prospective buyer. This is common in commercial real estate when there are leases and other contracts with third parties. That's not necessarily the same type of NDA that he was talking about, but the reality of the situation is the information is not supposed to be disclosed. So that to me was the bottom line with finding that information out. So we can go to this article that talks about the 5 examples of real estate non-disclosure agreements and 6 answers to NDAs. And I thought we could just scroll down to the 6 answers. Hold on just a moment. So let's look at the questions. How long does an NDA last? There's no set answer to this question. Each NDA established its own effective dates, which is true. And you think about like the Tiger Woods lawsuit, or that his trust is being sued right now by his previous relationship. The person in the previous relationship signed an NDA, and that was a few years ago. So when they talk about that, there's no it has its own effective date. There's a period of time that's been put on that documentation. And I think that I need to confirm the information. So if you're interested in seeing more information about that whole entire process, because that life trust or that living trust and the way he has his property set up, that he can live in the property that he technically owns. He's given himself a life estate on the property, and that the property is actually going to go to his children. And Law and Lumber did a really cool breakdown on that and I had linked that in a previous live session, and we can link that again. But the reason I'm bringing that up is there was an NDA involved, and in the NDA, or in the lawsuit from his previous relationship, it stated that she should get XYZ amount of money for the following years. And I believe the reason for that is, and I don't recall if Rob shared, and I don't know him, I just know his first name's Rob, the YouTuber, had shared that that the effective date of the NDA could be associated. Now I might be spitballing right here, but the effective date of the NDA could be associated with why she's suing for a period of years, meaning that because, you know, she's still in quote unquote contract to not share information, that she should be able to be paid compensation for what was left on that NDA. So it's interesting. So in that being, now that of course is a living estate or a life estate that I'm talking about. And this, we're talking about an NDA with regards to listing a property or showing a property. And we'll talk more about NDAs, but I wanted to be able to give you guys this information. When should you sign an NDA? Well, an NDA can be drafted and signed at any point during the real estate transaction. Nichols and Second Hardword recommend executing these contracts as early as possible, of course, with the potential transaction. So if we're in a situation where you're one of the agents that's going to be on one of the most recent reality shows with regards to multi-million-dollar listings or something like that, it would make sense to have clients that are coming to look at properties, or your clients might want you to list their property, but there are things, the NDA, the multiple listing service, not being, the information not being put on the multiple listing service, and a number of other things. It's an exclusive listing where the listing isn't presented out to the public. It's very specialized, and there's either NDAs that are being signed, or there's other type of contractual agreements that people that are looking at those properties are going to have to go through. Can you refuse to sign an NDA if you don't want to go, if you don't want to be a part of the program? You can. Can you get out of an NDA? Yeah, with the lawyer. And so anyway, there's a couple other things. What happens if someone violates an NDA? And is there a list of non-disclosure states in real estate, and what does it mean? So here you go. There's a current list of 12 non-disclosure states. So anyone buying a property in Alaska, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, North Dakota, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming cannot use NDAs. So I thought that was kind of an interesting like Q&A, because NDAs, I do understand there's a couple of you in our class that are doing this as your side hustle, and your main hustle is entertainment. You're either working as an agent, or you're working like with top, like A-list, B-list. I don't know what the lists are, but a number of people that are in the industry. And so there are things that you might want, and that was part of the reason for going through that. That may not be something that's normal, our normal run-of-the-mill process to have that conversation. So I wanted to be able to give you that information. Let me do this. I'm going to put into chat. I'm going to copy this link so that it's in chat, so you guys have it, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Not that you guys don't already know, but it's in the Google Drive. Okay, so NDAs. And then the next thing is car forms. One of the students during the weekend really kind of was like, hey, wait a second. What about contingency removal? What about how does that work? Because when we were going through the contingencies in class, I think that was Sunday. I think it was Sunday. I think it was Cheryl, right? Was saying, hey, how come contingencies have to basically, now this is my interpretation of what happened. Contingencies at the end of the listing, or excuse me, at the end of the purchase agreement information that we were going through, it basically was like, by this point, all contingencies must be removed. And then Cheryl came in, she's like, wait a second, in Texas, it's different in Texas than it is in California. And I was like, huh, no, contingencies aren't all, they don't all have to be done by a certain amount of time. They each have their own period of time. But in reflection, there is a point in time in the contract that basically goes, okay, everything needs to be removed. But in that same respect, you might not ever remove lender contingency. And so we shared that this article here on how does the contingency removal form work in California. And the reason I thought this article was pretty brilliant is, let me move, well, it's okay, I'll move this one down, is that if we go through this, if you're selling a house in California, and if you keep going, right here, it actually gives you an example of a contingency removal form. And the reason that I thought this was important, or I thought this was pretty awesome, is it showed right here, buyer removal of buyer contingencies. So notice it says contingency removal number, and then it's left blank. These are all are audit. These are all, you can add this information in. And if you're using your zip forms or your Cal forms, you can click on this and you can put in one and then save that. And then if you go back and want to do a new contingency removal one, it's going to already have one of those. So it's like, you already have one, you need to save this as two. So it's good that you can reflect back to the stuff you've done, especially when you're busy and you have more than one sale going on. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be more organized than I am, but I do like that you can click that information and go in. But under this section right at the beginning, you will know that it's a residential purchase agreement, residential income property purchase. That's good to know the difference, commercial property. But all of this other information would be filled out, right? We have the name of we have the address of the property, the buyer, the seller, And then, and it is good to have all that information in there for organization purposes, but buyer removal of buyer contingencies. So under section A, only the following individual checked buyer contingencies are going to be removed. So you might find that you put in an offer with lender approval, but that you will confirm lender approval within the first 4 days. So the first removal contingency would be loan approval. Removing the loan contingency also removes the appraisal contingency unless the appraisal contingency is separately selected in the agreement. Now, the appraisal contingency would be separate in the agreement, but from a lending perspective, your lender might not be willing to might not be willing to give you full approval without them reviewing the appraisal. And so that's why it's set up that way. So in this situation, you might go, okay, I can remove loan contingency. And then you're like, wait, the lender hasn't approved the appraisal. Okay, you can't, you're going to have to wait on that. So that's definitely something that would have to be discussed with your clients. Number 2, appraisal. Now, see where it says right here, loan paragraph 3H, appraisal paragraph 3I. Let's open the disclosures so that we can actually walk through that process together. And I will put these I'm going to put these in chat for you so that you can be watching or following with me. All right, so let me skirt this over there, and then we will share. Okay. I just lost it. Hold on just a second. Okay. Oh yeah, I had it on another folder. That's fine. We're going to be as organized as I can possibly be, which is not that organized. And we're going to go over here. Nope, nope, and nope, and nope. There we go. Actually, you know what? We might do what I used to do back in the day, and we will. Let's make this a little larger. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Now let's go down here. All right, so loan paragraph 3H. Wait a minute, which document are we in? Agency regarding relationship. And why is that one important? Well, that's the first one. That's the most important. We need to confirm that information. So this set of disclosures that I sent you are all of the disclosures that are set in our system in the book. So then the second thing is fair housing and discrimination advisory, as in we don't discriminate and we are advising that we won't. Possible representation of more than one buyer or seller disclosure consent is not bad. Wire fraud and electronic fund transfer advisory, again, a good thing. Here we go, California residential purchase agreement. So we have number 1, offer, number 2, agency, number 3, terms of purchase and allocation of costs. Cool. But we should be at 3H. 3H, verifying all cash offer. I might have to go into the book. Loan paragraph 3H, removing the loan contingency also removes the appraisal. Loan H, verifying all cash funds sufficient. verification of down payment and closing, verification of loan application. So let's go above. And it should say something in section 3, terms of purchase and allocations of costs. This item is in this paragraph. The items in this paragraph are contractual terms of the agreement, referenced paragraphs provided for the explanation. This form is 16 pages. Parties are advised to read all 16. Well, of course they are. Okay. So under 3H, we have all the information here. 3H1, verification of all cash. Chances are it won't happen, but that's okay. And the funds are sufficient. Attached is to the offer within 3 days, or fill in the blank days after acceptance. So right here on this disclosure, explanation on how does the contingency work, or how is the removal, or how's the process. The reason it's important to note, let's see if we can get that. I guess I can't get any larger than that. That's okay. Right here, verification of all cash offer, verification of down payment and closing costs within attached to the offer, or 3 days after the acceptance. The verification of down payment and closing costs. That's kind of impossible to get the closing costs because it's always estimated unless the property is going to sell in 3 days. But you can see why the information's here. Right here, again, we've got the loan, paragraph 3H notes, removing the loan contingencies also removes the appraisal contingency. Well, we don't see appraisal contingency here, which is totally fine, but verification of down payment and closing costs, the information needs to be itemized when that will happen. Verification of loan application attached to the offer, or 3 days, or the amount. So always, I would encourage people never to check that, because getting it done in 3 days is I don't know if you've ever worked with lenders, but I've been a lender and I can tell you that's a tough one. So I would put something like 10 or 15 days here, and then note next to it, pre-qualification, pre-approval, or fully underwritten pre-approval. Fully underwritten pre-approval is exactly what this is saying down here. Removal of loan contingency also removes the appraisal contingency unless appraisal contingency is separately selected in the agreement. If it is checked that there's full underwriting pre-approval, then what fully underwritten means is that they've already received the appraisal, or they know that the appraisal is going to come in at value because the house is what it is. So that way, this document, which is the purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions, does correlate with what this article is talking about and what this specific contingency removal disclosure is stating. Then under section 3I, which we haven't gotten to yet, is the appraisal. So under 3I, it says intentionally left blank. I don't see 3I, or is it 3L? Loans, oh, sorry, it's 3L. I'm saying 3I. Doesn't look like an I. It's okay. That's my bad. So under 3L, appraisal contingency based upon appraised value to the minimum of a purchase price, or this particular amount. You might find that the client can buy a $2 million house, even if the property comes in at 1.9 million, because they have an additional 100,000 liquidity that they're willing to put down on the property. So if the house is going to come in at a lower amount, that they're willing to negotiate 1.9 and up. I've never had a client that would buy a home for less. So let me start over again. I've never had a client that would buy a house that came in at a less appraisal price, but oh my gosh, I'm sharing the screen, right? I am, sorry. The thing popped down to the bottom. I apologize, everyone. Okay, the only time I've ever seen anything like this, and I wouldn't say I've seen it, that you hear in the winds, things that have happened. We've talked about the Demi Moore, Bruce Willis divorce, and I'm not bringing him up because of life experiences. This is something, God bless him and his family. I'm saying that when they decided to no longer have their relationship the way it was, he did buy the property next door in order to be able to have the kids not have to go commute across town, right? Or whatever the circumstance or situation. So that being said, you could see where that kind of, in that kind of situation where someone's just going to pay whatever in order to buy the neighbor's house, that's not the same as what we're dealing with here. But you could see where the fill in the blanks do make sense. And that's why I'm using them as an example. The time to remove the contingencies is 17 days after acceptance of the offer, or a different set of days. And so if we know that a client is going to get or that we're pretty sure we're getting the acceptance, we can call the lender that has them pre-approved and said, based on your approved lender or approved appraisers, what's their turn time? When do you usually get those appraisals back? And in this situation specifically, if the appraisal has not come back, it's not up here where we were going fully underwritten, meaning the appraisal doesn't have to come back. They're not worried about it. Or it's already come back and for whatever reason, we're doing the paperwork after. In this situation, if the lender tells us it's going to take the appraiser at least 15 days to get out there, and then it's going to take them another 10 to go through the appraisal and get the appraisal to the lender, and then have the lender review the appraisal, then we're looking at 25 days. And you can see why it would be important to put in 25 days at that's on a good day, right? We're in a bear market, we're in a buyer's market. We don't have to necessarily worry about this kind of situation at this point. Under reports, disclosures, and paragraphs 4 and 6, if we scroll down, I'm still in 3. Property, addenda, and advisories. So prototype, property type, addenda. This agreement is subject to the terms contained in the addenda checked below. So probate agreement. And that probate agreement, purchase addendum, this would be, so as an example, when we were in class on Saturday or Sunday, Farzana was sharing about how they went and looked at a property and put their names in the guest book, and they got an email that had all the disclosures, and in the disclosures they received the disclosure associated with somebody passing away in the home within the last 3 years, right? And so part of the probate sale of that property was the fact that that property is being liquidated because the person that owned the property is no longer on the earth. So all of that being said, when it comes to that's one of those disclosures that definitely would need to be reviewed. And so here you might have contingencies that would need to be removed, because what they would do is they would give, as an example, let's say Farzana is willing to purchase that home. And so she goes and purchase, or her and her husband have time to purchase that home. There is a period of time where they're going to be able to go through those contingency, or the removal of that contingency. That's one of those ones that you want to sit and have the chatelac about. Under condominium plan development, HOA and AO disclosures, that would be under section 7B. So property addendas is under 4 and 6. So let's scroll past any additional affecting purchase price, buyers, etc. We're going to move away from anything else that could be affecting it. Is good to know under 5, but under 6, additional financing terms, if there are any that could affect. Note right here, verification of loan applicants. We've got buyer shall deliver to seller within the time specified in paragraph 3H. Section 3, a letter from the buyer's lender. A lot of times, not a lot of times, most of the time, if you're going to go through that much process to put in that application, sorry, let me start over again. If you're going to take that much time to put in an offer to buy a home, you have that letter with the purchase agreement and escrow instructions. Under number 7, closing and possession. So right here where it says reports, disclosures, paragraphs. Oops, sorry. It sounds like the ice cream man is here. That was weird. We're kind of far off from the beaten path. Condominium, I guess they came up the private road. Somebody wants ice cream. Condominium plan development, HOAs. Okay, reports, disclosures, sections 4 and 6. Oh, I went to 7. Additional financing terms. Okay, we talked a little bit about that. And then under number 7, condominium plan development, HOAs. So occupancy, so closing and possession. So occupancy agreement, meaning when are you going to move in? That those details need to be set in place. Condition of property on closing. Buyer to be strongly advised to conduct an investigation. This is actually a different disclosure. Hold on a second. As is. That's not condos. This one's not the condominium plan development, HOA or AO disclosures, paragraph 7B. No, it's not. Conditions. So here, let's do this. Control F, condo. Condominium. Oh, it's just a little bit further down. Okay. Seller shall on close of escrow unless otherwise agreed, and even if the seller remains in possession, provide keys, password codes, and the means to operate the locks. If the property is a condominium or located in a common interest development, seller shall be responsible for securing, providing any such items for association, amenities, facilities, and access. Buyer may be required to pay deposit to the homeowners association to obtain the keys to accessible HOA facilities. HOAs, you're gonna have to get the lender has to get the information about the HOA in order to approve the property for lending. And so that information would be done ahead of time, but it's good that it's noted here. And this is why the CAR forms are really important, because sometimes the wording, you're like, why are they going overboard? They're not really going overboard. It's a contract. They're wanting to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. And then it should say more information about condominium and planned development, but it's not. So there's part of the article that doesn't necessarily facilitate it, but that's fine. There are other documents needed when it comes to condos, HOAs, planned developments, planned unit developments, or co-ops. So those would be additional disclosures anyway. Buyer's investigation, including insurability. All allocation of costs, inspections, reports, and certificates, government requirement and correction of or remedial action, points of sale requirements, reinstation fees, home warranty. That would be buyer's investigation, including insurability, is paragraph 10. It's not. Okay, so not all of these are actually in the same place, but that's fine. So let's go this. Control F. Hazard zone disclosure. No, not the hazard zone disclosure. Which one's the other one? Hazard lead based paint. That's not what this one's talking about. Buyer's investigation, including habitability, is paragraph 10. Well, actually, am I getting ahead of myself, guys? I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Condominium plan unit development disclosure 7B. Buyer's investigation, including insurability, is paragraph 10. Buyer's investigation, including insurability. What am I doing wrong? I feel like sometimes it's all Greek. Allocations of costs, buyer's investigation, including insurability, inspection reports and certificates. Well, that would be insurability, making sure the property is in the shape it's in. Government requirement of correction or remedial action. Legally required installments on property improvements, point of sale requirements. Point of sale inspections, reports, and repairs refer to any such actions required to be completed before or after closing of escrow and are required in order to close under the law and paid by the party specified in paragraphs 3Q. Reinspection fees, information and advice on requirements. Buyer and seller are advised to seek information for the knowledgeable source regarding local and state mandates, whether or not they are a point of sale requirements for ownership. Agents do not have expertise in this area. So they're just saying you've got to have specialists come in and fix things. And then let's see, title and then sale of buyer's property. We've already talked about that's a lot of information. Let's see if I want to make sure that the documents I'm giving you guys are actually the ones. Buyer's investigation of property and matters affecting the property, which would be the prelim. Buyer shall, within the time frame specified in 3L, have the right at the buyer's expense unless otherwise agreed to conduct inspections, investigations, test surveys, etc. Buyer's investigations include but are not limited to is just like a given in a contract, right? Inspections regarding any physical attributes of the property or items connected to the property, such as a general home inspection and inspection of lead, base paint, and other things. The buyer's investigation is not on 10. The buyer's on investigations on 12. That's not the prelim. When was this article brought out? It's still good information. It just means everything. Oh, 2019. That's why this is after pandemic. This is pre-pandemic information. That's fine. So you'll notice that even though the disclosure information isn't in the same place, so the buyer's investigation information is not in paragraph 10, it's in paragraph 12. But the reason for that is they had to detail something else and they're just bumping everything down. There isn't a lot that's changed with the disclosures, with the disclosures. If the section, you'll notice like back in the day, I'm always going to talk about back in the day. Back in the day, the section 3 here, let me make this larger. Back in the day, when we talked about, this is pre crash of the mortgage industry. So terms of purchase and allocations of cost, this was like 5 lines and the information was filled out here. It was not this paragraph title and contract term and condition additional terms. This information did not take up to 3 pages. So you can see where you've already bumped. And back, I would also venture to say back in the day, contracts were like 8 or 10 pages versus 16, but they've had to continue to detail. So even if the section's not the same, it says allocation of cost is 10 now, section 10, and section 12 is the section that actually has the buyer's investigation of property. It's okay that the information isn't 100% the same with regards to the article, because the article is just that. It's still detailing where contingencies, or at least you're in the right ballpark. You're within a page or two, right? And then under title and preliminary report, we know it's not 12. Title preliminary is 13. Okay. Buyer shall, within the time specified in paragraph 3N, be provided with current preliminary title report, a preliminary report. And that preliminary report I shared with those that were in class at the beginning or on Tuesday is actually the prelim that was sent to us on this property. And it's not this property. Escrow didn't send us ours. They sent us somebody else's preliminary title report. And that was one of the many things that was a struggle for escrow, which is a really kind of a bad thing. A preliminary title report was ordered on a property that the owner of the property had not said, we would like a preliminary title report ordered on. It's on it's not, I mean, it's just our neighbor right there, but the situation is that you guys can see that I'm not 1,000% organized. I wouldn't be the right person for escrow, because those are the kind of mistakes I'd make. But as a buyer, or as being the agent and the buyer of this property, I was really uncomfortable with the idea that escrow was sending us a preliminary title report on an address that wasn't ours. And so anyway, so always check the address at the top of the preliminary title report and make sure that is your property. And technically it's our property, but we're that address 1/2 versus that address. But there are 3 houses on this side of the easement. There's 2 houses on that side of the easement, and we all have a fraction, if you will, put in our address. So it's really important that the right address is connected to the property. Okay, under section so even though the article says title preliminary report is paragraph 12, buyer shall, within a specified period of time, be provided with the current preliminary title report of the address that they're purchasing by the person responsible for paying for the title report. If buyer is responsible for paying, the buyer shall act diligently and in good faith to obtain such preliminary title report within the specified period of time. Seller shall, within 7 days after request, give escrow holder necessary information to clear title if there's a problem. So the reason, what does clear title means? Well, we talked about this in class, right? Clear title or marketable title is having everything right on the preliminary title report. The person that sold us the property actually owned this property with their husband, and he's no longer with us. So there was a cloud on title. It had both of them on title that had to be cleared up. And she took the measures in order to do that, so that it was cleared from it being a husband and wife as their in joint tenants, or actually, I don't remember how they had the property, how they held property, but the point is they held it together. And so now, right before we took clear title of the property, it went from that person as a widow, how they wanted their property vested, and then it came. Then we put the property at that point was clear enough or marketable, so then we could purchase and then have our names be vested on title. And then, but that was really quick. So a lot of times, like in the book, it's very clinical. It'll talk in the book about how we need to give it time for them to clear title. Title doesn't take long. The clearing title in this situation where somebody is no longer with us, it's not hard to clear title, but there might be another circumstance where there would be. So we have to give ample time for that. So we don't remove the contingency with regards to having a cloud on title, unless we know how long it's going to take. And then obviously at that point it can be removed, but there's no contract. If there's a problem with title, there's no contract. And what I mean by that is that if there isn't clear marketable title for, as an example, for Farzana to purchase said home, if the title is clouded, the lending institution's not going to be able to approve the property because the property cannot be approved with it has to have marketable or clear title, clear and marketable title in order for Farzana to purchase that home, because the loan cannot go against the property with somebody else's name on title or something along those lines. It has to go through that process prior to, so that Farzana takes clear and marketable title under her name. And then sale of buyer's property. I think we know that one. The buyer's property, if the buyer has a property that needs to be sold, that amount of time that's going to be needed for that. I lost it again, guys. Here we go. Sale of buyer's property. Time periods, removal, contingency, cancellation rights. The following time periods may only be extended, altered, modified, or changed by mutual written agreement. Any removal of contingencies or cancellation under this paragraph may either made by either the buyer or the seller must be exercised in good faith and in writing. A seller delivery of documents can be seller within the time frame specified in paragraph 3 in further up on the contract, deliver to the buyer all reports, disclosures, and information for which seller is responsible as specified in paragraphs 9B, 6, 10, 11A, 11B, 11C, 11D, 11H, 11K, 11L, 11M, 13A, and 13D. Buyer's review of documents, repair request, contingency removal, or cancellation. Buyer has the time specified in paragraph 3 to perform buyer's investigation, reviews all disclosures, reports, documents to be assumed by the buyer pursuant to paragraph 9B. Now, the reason I'm slowing down for this time periods thing is when Marguerite purchased her property, one of my dear friends that was living here and did her VA loan, they were they were in breach of contract because the appraisal had not come back in, yet the appraisal had been done, and it took an exceedingly long time for the appraiser to not only do the appraisal, but it took them, I think it took them 20 days to get back to them, and they were supposed to close within 20 days, and she was following what the lender had said would be the process needed. And so then the appraisal comes in, and the appraisal comes in at a higher value than what she's purchasing the property for, plus, like 48 pages, because it was a VA appraiser. It had 48 pages of fixes that needed to be done on the property that were required for her as a VA loan borrower, if you will, to be able to humanly have that as with human habitation. And so on top of all of that, it went from a $300 appraisal to a $900 appraisal because the appraiser charged more because there was more paperwork involved. And so they had to, in writing, choose to extend the sale of buying the home an additional, I think, 45 days or something. So she kept calling me, and I was like, well, what does your contract say? Oklahoma contracts are not the same as California contracts, but they're within reason. And so we were able to have that conversation and talk through the situation. And basically the seller said, because it's a VA loan and you're not coming in with money and the home is coming in at a higher price, it's going to cost more for us to close this deal for all the closing costs than what you offered. We're asking for you to come in with an additional $10,000. So they were renegotiating in order to be able to cover what they were promising to cover initially. And so she was really frustrated about the situation, but you could kind of see where they're coming from. Is it right? Is it wrong? I'm just giving you an example of a situation where the time periods had to be bumped out slightly. And then under sale of buyer's property is the next one we were going to talk about. Seller's right to cancel, buyer's right to cancel, notice to buyer to perform, demand to close, effective cancellation, repairs, final verification of condition, proration. I'm not seeing it here. It's got to be here. Sale. Oops, sorry. Let's see. Control F. Sale of buyer's property. It looks like it's under 3. So that's completely in a different place. Sale of buyer's property. Sale of buyer's property is not a contingency unless checked here. Well, it'd have to be checked there. So under 3L, well, where else is buyers? Oh, there's 4 sections. Okay. When in doubt, control F it. Maybe that should be a t-shirt. Maybe I should make t-shirts. Sale of buyer's property. Here we go. It's under J. 8J. Well, that's completely in a different place. Sale of buyer's property. This agreement and buyer's ability to obtain financing is not contingent upon. Oh, but it is. One of them has to be. Okay. Well, no, it's J. Not contingent upon the sale of any other property by buyer unless the sale of buyer's property car form COP is checked as a contingency of this agreement. And that was 3L. Okay, so there are definitely some changes since 2019 on the contract. This is still a good article. It's still explaining the differences between which was what I wanted us to be able to go over. But that being said, let me go over one more thing, and we will not just one more thing, but on this past weekend, we did disclosures in the practice book to note. So the listing agreement, if you are the listing agent, here are the pages associated with it in the book. Estimated seller proceeds page, it's got to be 83. That looks like it's missing. And then we have the ones for the buyers, and you'll note that this is one of the reasons why being the procuring cause is a little bit easier. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disclosures that need to be signed, whereas the seller, you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, possibly 16, but initially you're running out the gate with only 5 if you're the procuring cause. I still do not have an answer for one of the students. The weekend students was asking about why the certificates say a 90% attendance, but I haven't forgotten about it. And I have some articles I thought were pretty interesting. This one specifically was pretty cool. Adam had sent this one to me, and the handyman turns the tables on squatters who took over his mother's house. This is in Northern California. And it's there. This video is actually him talking about it and how he was able to go through the process of evicting them. And this is a problem in the neighborhood or in the area where his mother's home was, because they have a lot of Airbnbs and people moving in and out of properties. It just so happened that his mom's property, the neighbors knew. And so this person moved into the property illegally and basically shared with him that they wanted to rent the property and they could not get them approved. But the people moved in anyway and actually had their furniture moved into the property. And what he did in the short was he basically got a rental agreement from his mother and filled that information out, became the renter, flew to California because he's not from California, and walked up to the people that were living in the property and actually walked into the property and saw that it was full of things. And when they got there, he showed them that he was the renter. And the reason this is really important is it's extremely dangerous. But he had a positive outcome on it. And he actually goes, hey, if you guys want to figure out how to do this, you can contact me. Anyway, I thought it was Northern California. Maybe it's California landlords fears of COVID eviction. So anyway, it's an interesting opportunity of looking at things a little bit differently. I wanted to be able to share that with you guys tonight. Kat Von D sold her home. She had it listed for 15 million 2 years ago. It dropped to 13, dropped to 12. Then she was able to sell it for 7.5. She bought it in 2016 for 6 point something million. So she made $1 million. The reason that's really fascinating to me, and part of the reason I wanted to share this information, I do apologize. I know it's TMZ, but sometimes TMZ has less commercials and things than most of these other things. But the thing that I thought was interesting is that's Kat Von D. If you guys don't know who it is, I think we talked about it in one of my classes. This is the Cheaper by the Dozen house, or Cheaper by the Dozen, the movie was filmed. But it's a very specific home for a specific group of people. If you look at the before and after images, you'll see that everywhere, everything either had like oak or a medium or light oak, has been restained with a darker color. It's got stronger, more dramatic colors to the property. Is it gorgeous? Yes, it's gorgeous, but this really does put this home to a very unique and specific audience. And it's really important for us to think about that. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's still a beautiful property. And if you ever saw Cheaper by the Dozen, the interior of the home is very light in color. It's very whimsical, and not that the way she left it's not whimsical, it definitely is, but it's that one specifically is unique to her design and her look. And then Brad Pitt sells his incredible compound for 39 million. And you guys know I'm always sharing like what's happening. This happened, I think, last week. So he sells his compound, and this is in the Los Feliz area. So it's like, I'm trying to think of where to explain where Los Feliz is from here, but Silver Lake area. So am I wrong about Silver Lake? Hold on just a second. Okay. Okay, Griffith Park. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Silver Lake. So it's in Griffith Park, which we know Griffith Park as being the place that Disney used to take his kids over to the carousel and dream about building a place that people would love to go to. And then last but not least, M. Night Shyamalan just bought the Rockefeller's farm for $24 million. For those of you that don't know who M. Night Shyamalan is, and I call him M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, and I don't have any explanation for it except that I like his movies. That most recent movie he did was really awesome. Knock at the Cabin, is that the name of it? I believe that's the name of it. Anyway, but the reason I'm sharing this with you is anytime we see anybody that's buying properties or selling properties on social media, I want to be able to share that information with you. Not because you're going to be selling a house in Pennsylvania, but it's just really neat to be able to see what people are buying right now. And so we were talking about M. Night Shyamalan, the farm that he bought, and how much it looks like the movie he did, The Village. If you don't know what M. Night Shyamalan looks like, that's what he looks like. But anyway, so this is the farm that he bought. So I think we're going to have a Village 2 coming to a theater near you, maybe, or maybe not. But that being said, I think we've touched lightly on the things that were asked about. We can do a far deep dive with regards to CalHFA, and then we can also do a deeper dive on the disclosures. I wanted to be able to have that information at your fingertips, readily available. Now, there was the last but not least, because I know it's late and I do apologize for those of you that are still here, and for those of you that aren't, I totally get it. The contingency, escrow, Northern and Southern California. I reached out to Mark and I have not heard back from him with regards to why in Southern California they have instructions at the very beginning, and why in Northern California they have unilateral contracts, and in why in Southern California they have bilateral contracts or disclosures, I should say. And one of the things that I have done as I've been researching is in Southern California, even though escrow, like the purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions, are combined, right? So the bilateral instructions coming from escrow are going to mimic the purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions that were stated at the beginning of the process. But that information is the instructions, that bilateral disclosure is saying, this is what the expectations are from the seller, this is what the expectations are from the buyer. Now, that's at the beginning in Southern California. In Northern California, they're just like, they're doing the same thing. They're just splitting it down the middle and saying, this is yours and this is yours. And the information's still the same. And I can't explain to you why. Oh, my computer just kind of did a lull. Sorry. I can't explain to you why the at this moment in time, the true definition for that information, but I'm hoping if it's not Mark, it's going to be who was the other person I was talking to? And they were like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that is different. That's how we do things. I'm like, why? I need to have the why of it all. So I'll be able to share that information with you guys within the next week or so. But if there's additional questions or concerns that you guys have that you want us to go over, we went over the ones that were sent. And I want to be able to go over the other information with you as well. And so that being said, please email me and I will have that in a PowerPoint and have that availability for you in the next class. But that being said, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you don't, it's 7:40. I've been trying to concentrate this information down to 30 minutes, but that doesn't always work. So it's an hour and 10 minutes. I know your time is valuable and I want to encourage you if you have any questions or concerns. If you don't, that's okay. Have a wonderful day. And if you do, send me an email and I will get the answers to you to the best of my ability. And yeah, that's where we are. Okay. But with regards to prepping for the final exam, with regards to any of the quizzes, the unit quizzes, or any of the other things that are out there, if you in the middle of the week, I know it's the middle of the week or the middle end of the week, if you have any questions at any time, you can always email me. I do have a Google 732-723-7326 is my Google voice number. And you can always text me here too. I'm not always getting I don't get the push notifications anymore, but what I do is I just open the program. I open the link because I have it on my phone and I can just see when they're popping in and I can move back and forth with regards to that. If you leave a voicemail message or a text message, I can review both of those and I can get back to you. Even if you have an accent, I don't want you to worry about that. I have a couple students that say it's going to be hard for you to understand my accent. Call, leave a message. Let me see if I understand what you're asking, and then I will respond back by saying, I think this is what you said. Let's clarify. And it'll help me continue to build my relationship with you and my rapport with you as an instructor, as well as answer the questions to the best of my ability. Okay. But that being said, it's 7:42. Any questions? I'll stay on for another 30 seconds. Okay, perfect. No, that's okay. I totally, although if I didn't clarify something, or if there's something you're like, can we do a further deep dive? Can we use an example? Like these people are buying the house and all the worst case scenarios that could happen with them buying the house. So there's a flood, there's water damage, there's mold, there's this, there's that, all those things. We could do like a worst case scenario purchase agreement, listing a home that has a leaking roof or something like that, so that we can go through those scenarios. Okay, how would we handle the situation if the appraisal came in 100,000 below what has been offered? How do we walk through it? How do we navigate that? What's the disclosure? So that maybe we could do something like that. We did eLicensing last week, but we can do a further detailing of that. I wanted to record that separate. But that being said, okay, I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to have a wonderful evening. For those of you that I will see Saturday morning, I'll see you Saturday morning. I will be there with bells on 8:30ish. Come to class if you want. Class starts at 8:30. Come into class and then go make coffee or breakfast or chillax, because class will hit the ground running at 9, or start asking me questions there that might be pertinent to doing a deep dive next Thursday. We're gonna have a different link for Thursday because I have I just got an update with that. And that's one of the things I forgot to say in the PowerPoint. Because the change in programs has happened with Zoom, you might need to log out of all of your school, log out of everything, maybe possibly even restart your digital device, and then log back in, and you might find that you're going to need to update your whatever program it is that you're working through, whether it's Zoom or the student platform. But I received an alert today that said there's a new app that I need to go through. Not that that's what you need to do, but that's something that I need to do. So I just want to encourage you, if you have class with me Saturday morning and there's a problem and you can't get in because something needs to be updated, it could take 10 minutes to get that update done. So I wanted to share that with you all. So for those of you that are here, thank you. I am honored by your presence. For those of you that are watching by video, please remember, now that we're at the end of the video, to always watch this at double speed. All right. It was fun. You want to say bye-bye? Come here. Let's go say bye-bye. All right. We love you. We say, it's time for a snacky. Yeah. Okay. Well, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Be blessed and encouraged. I'm an email away. I'm a Google voice message away. And oh, I'm sorry. Is it nappy time? Yeah. Okay. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. If you are in class, sorry, one more thing, and you're in the midst of finishing your final, I am still an email away. I'm still a phone call away. If there is a question or concern that you have about that, and you don't, maybe let's say you don't pass with a 70% on the first go round, before taking it again, reach out to me. Let's go over the strengths and weaknesses that you may be going through with regards to that. I don't want you to ever go through a quiz or go through an exam in any of my classes and feel like you're left without answers. It's all about getting answers. It's all about finding those answers, because I want you to have the opportunity and that communication now, so that you can in the future go back to not just me, go back to your broker, interview the broker you're going to interview, and work with the broker you're willing to be in the trenches with. In that same regard, when it comes to education, that's what I'm here for. Okay. So please be encouraged and have a wonderful week. So for those of you that are my independent students, students that are doing student directed learning, I'm an email away. I'm a phone call away for all of my students, but I wanted to specifically just like do a shout out. I have 3 different schools. Everybody's starting and stopping at different times, and I'm trying to navigate those things. And then last but not least, the 4th time, if you receive an email from me that says, hey, encouraging you with regards to getting the work in or whatever, I do not want that to ever be a stressor for you. I'm trying to say, hey, I want to keep you focused. I want to get you to that at least C in my class, so that we can get this transcript set up to the Department of Real Estate, so we can get you in that state exam process. So all of that being said, please, even if you're struggling, you can't get work in a timely manner that you feel, or you're not reading through the chapters as quickly as you feel like you should be, please just reach out to me and let me see if I can't help. All right. All right. So, okay. One more time. What do we say? We say good night. We say we love you. Is that what we say? I don't know why. She's usually a licker, but oh, there we go. Oh, we did it. We did the kisses. Okay. We'll see you soon. Be blessed and encouraged, everyone. Bye. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I thought I hit end for all. I didn't.